Start out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Chakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and others, great most never well. Peace and blessings to the elect of the nation Israel. All right. Just getting straight to it, man. The Lord cold. I just said how, hey, I might not make it a part 2, and, the stream just got cut. So here I go with a part 2, man. That was really all through the spirit, but hey, this is the way the Lord wanted, right? It's all through the spirit. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 3. And once again, I was reading Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and I was around verse 7, but I'll start from the top again. Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. All right? Shalom, Z, like tuning in. So we're not in a time of peace. We're in a time of war. We're not in a time of love. We're in a time of hate. All right? But you show love, you show peace when you're around the righteous. You embrace, okay, when you're around the righteous. You refrain from embracing when you're around the wicked, man. And that's the type of world that we live in. We live in a wicked world. So you got to know how to move. You got to know how to maneuver out here, man. You can't be out here being naive, man. Being simple. Trusting everybody. Okay? Remember what happened with Samson in the book of Judges, right? She was trying to pillow talk him, get his strength, and he lied to her a couple times. But every time he lied to her, sure enough, she capitalized on it, man. The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. Right? He had 3 admonitions before the Philistines took him, man. He should have known not to trust Delilah, but it was prophecy, it was written. Right? But what she said, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. At first he was guarded, but she wasn't right from the beginning, so him eventually letting his guard down, she didn't tarry. She exploited his weakness. This is Judges chapter 16, starting at verse 9. Now there were men lying in wait. Judges chapter 16 and verse 6. And Delilah said to Samson, tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth, and wherewith thou mightest be bound to afflict thee. That's crazy. And Samson said unto her, if they bind me with 7 green withs that were never dried, then shall I be weak and be as another man. So he lied to her, right? And the Lord of the Philistines brought up to her 7 green withs, which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. Now there were men lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber. And she said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he brake the withs, as a thread of tow is broken with when it toucheth the fire, so his strength was not known. So right then and there, he should have known, man, this bitch wasn't right. But once again, this is written for our admonition. All right. It says, verse 10, and Delilah said unto Samson, behold, thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray thee, wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if they bind me with new ropes that never were occupied, then shall I be weak and be as another man. And Delilah therefore took new ropes and bound him therewith, and said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And there were liars in wait abiding in the chamber, and he brake them from off his arms like a thread. And Delilah said, and that shows you how strong Samson was. But Samson is a perfect example of that quote with Niccolò Machiavelli, right? You got to know how to be a lion and a fox. Because Samson, for the most part, he was all lion. He had the strength, but not saying Samson was a fool, but he wasn't always operating in wisdom. Okay? It says, and Delilah therefore took new ropes and bound him therewith, and said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And there were liars in wait abiding in the chamber, and he brake them off from his arms like a thread. So he broke those ropes off like thread, man. He was strong. Verse 13. And Delilah said unto Samson, hither thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web. And the locks right here is referring to plaits. When you go into the Hebrew of that word locks right there, the word is plaits. Dreadlocks is the heathen customs. Israelites are not supposed to be wearing dreadlocks. There's a heathen custom going back to the idol god of Elam, Shiva. Elam is the East Indians and the Persians, aka the modern day Iranians. All right, you know, and it says, and she fastened it with the pin and said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he awaked out of his sleep and went away with the pin of the beam with the web. And she said unto him, how canst thou say I love thee when thy heart is not with me? So she's gaslighting him. She's being manipulative. Thou hast mocked me these 3 times, which were what? 3 admonitions to Samson, man. He should have known. And has not told me wherein thy great strength lieth. And it came to pass when she pressed him daily with her words and urged him so that his soul was vexed unto death, that he told her all his heart and said unto her, there have not come a razor upon mine head, for I have been a Nazarite unto the Most High from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man. Now, verse 16, every day, she was steady bothering him. She was persistent with her bothering him. And eventually he got so annoyed, he was like, man, I'm ready to die, you know? So he told her. But this is how you know that, hey, sometimes wicked niggas can be persistent, man. Long-term with their wickedness. So you got to continually be long-term with your vigilance. You know? Verse 18, and when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, meaning she seen, okay, he really telling her the truth, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, come up this once, for he hath shewed me all his heart. Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her and brought money in their hand. So she sold him out. And she made him sleep upon her knees. And she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. And she said, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he awoke out of his sleep and said, I will go out as other times before. Meaning he trusted in his own might. All right. You know, in that moment. Okay, but ultimately he trusted in the Lord's might. You know, so that's another story or moral of the story that comes from the story with Samson in Judges 16. That what? Ultimately strength comes of Yahweh Shem Shai, whether he had his hair or not. Okay. And it says, and she said, and that's the same thing with us being vigilant around these evildoers, man. You know, yeah, you may be on guard, but at the end of the day, if the Lord ain't with you, then you ain't truly protected. Even if you are watching everything going on around you. Even if you are hyper vigilant, you know. As Judges 16-20, then, and she said, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he woke out of his sleep and said, I will go out as at other times before and shake myself. And he wist not that the Lord was departed from him. Right? So that's the point on that right there, man. Going to show you that what, man? These niggas be lying in wait. So we got to be on point out here. You know, and last but not least, I'm going to bring out the story with the book of Jonathan. Or the book of Jonathan, Salakia. I'm going to bring out the story in the book of Maccabees about Jonathan, you know, who was a part of the Hasmonean dynasty, which was the line of the Maccabees. You know, brothers call them Maccabean brothers, Maccabees brothers, you know. You know. This is First Maccabees, chapter 12, and verse 40. And it says, howbeit he was afraid that Jonathan would not suffer him. And this is talking about Tryphon, right? It says, and that he would fight against him. Wherefore he sought a way how to take Jonathan, that he might kill him. So he removed and came to Bethsan. Then Jonathan went out to meet him with 40,000 men chosen for the battle, and came to Bethsan. Now when Tryphon saw that Jonathan came with so great a force, he durst not stretch his hand against him. Right, meaning what? He was a coward, man. He was a hyena. He said, oh shit, Jonathan, he bringing pressure. I ain't gonna go to war with this man. I'm not trying to lose, right? So what did he do? He used deceit, okay? But received him honorably. So he acted like he was his friend, you know, and commended him unto all his friends, and gave him gifts, and commanded his men of war as to be as obedient unto him as to himself. So he like, man, treat Jonathan like you would treat me, to his soldiers. He giving them gifts. Remember the scripture said, a gift destroyeth the heart. Okay? If he go crouching and humble himself, yet take good heed of him, right? And beware of him. Like it says in Sirach 12. And it says, First Maccabees chapter 12, verse 44. Unto Jonathan also he said, why hast thou put all this people to so great trouble, seeing there is no war betwixt us? So he's lying to him, like, man, you know, why you got all these soldiers? There's no war between us. Typical Edomite shit. Verse 45. Therefore send them now home again, and choose a few men to wait on thee, and come thou with me to Ptolemais. For I will give it thee, and the rest of the strongholds and forces, and all that have any charge. As for me, I will return and depart from this, for this is the cause of my coming. So he lied to him, saying, yeah, man, I'm coming to meet you because I'm coming to, you know, give you all these gifts and give you all these strongholds. This is why I'm here, man. You know, I'm not here for war. Lying ass. So Jonathan, believing him, did as he bade him, and sent away his host, who went into the land of Judah. And with himself he retained but 3,000 men, of whom he sent 2,000 into Galilee, and 1,000 went with him. Now as soon as Jonathan entered into Ptolemais, they of Ptolemais shut the gates and took him. And all them that came with him they slew with the sword. Then sent Tryphon a host of footmen and horsemen into Galilee and into the great plain to destroy all of Jonathan's company. But when they knew that Jonathan and they that were with him were taken and slain, they encouraged one another and went close together, prepared to fight. They therefore, and that's how you know Jonathan was a great leader, because his soldiers didn't lose their morale, right? Even after his death. All right? And why? Because Jonathan was a leader of Yahweh Bashem and Yahushai. You know? It says the same way with Yahweh's soldiers, right? They didn't lose their morale after Yahweh's death. Even though the scripture says, smite the shepherd and the sheep shall scatter, right? And that was prophecy pertaining to that particular night, the night Yahweh got crucified or got taken, leading up to the, on the night of the Passover. But the disciples kept doing the work of the Lord, even after Yahweh's death. Verse 51, they therefore that followed upon them, perceiving that they were ready to fight for their lives, turned back again, meaning they ain't want no smoke, man, like some damn cowards. All right? Like some damn hyenas. It says, whereupon they all came into the land of Judea peaceably, and there they bewailed Jonathan and them that were with him, and they were sore afraid, wherefore all Israel made great lamentation. Then all the heathen that were round about them sought to destroy them, for said they have no captain, nor any to help them. Now therefore let us make war upon them, and take away their memorial from among men. So they're saying, look, now's the time to get them. They don't got a captain. Jonathan's dead. Now they saying, oh, they assuming that their defenses have departed from them. Now they thinking, let's exploit them. Let's take them over now, man. And that's how wicked doers get down, man. You know, they strike you when you're weak, because they're cowardly. You know, boldness is a righteous trait. All right. Now, if a wicked nigga's being bold, that's really just pride. Okay? But nonetheless, that's the point right there, man. The wicked seeketh to slay the righteous. You know, they lie in wait. So we got to be on point out here, you know. So that's the point. Lord willing, lesson was edifying, man. Giving all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakhakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstones that rule well. Peace and blessings to the elected nation of Israel. Shalom, Baba Ball, Kwame Sharala.